So we are going to continue with the self-interest threats. In the previous video, we introduced them. So in this video, we are going to look at the self-interest threats like in details. I gave you the formula. For it. So we are going to look at a threat, then we see how it affects the auditor's opinion, then the safeguards to the threats, like how the auditors can avoid such threats. So we shall start with the financial financial interests. For example, owning shares in an audit client company. Like if you have shares in the company that you are auditing, it might limit your judgment. So the effect is that the auditor may be reluctant to raise any issue that will reduce the client's profit as it reduces their share prices or dividends. As we said, if you have shares in the company that you're auditing, like anything that affects the profits of that company will also affect you in some way or the other, because that company is supposed to pay you dividends depending on the profits that they make. So you may not report anything that reduces the profits of the company, and that might affect your opinion. You might end up giving a wrong opinion on the financial statements. So that is the effect. The auditor may be reluctant to raise any issue, reducing the client's profit as this reduces their share prices or dividends. So the safeguards. Like what they can do to avoid such situations. First is that an audit firm should not audit a company where a partner, a spouse, or a minor child own shares. So in case one of the members on the audit team owns shares in a particular company, or their spouse, or any relative of theirs, or any minor child, in case they own shares in that company, you're not supposed to audit that company because it will affect your opinion. That's one safeguard. Then another one is that financial interests, or those of their close family members, should be disclosed to the audit firm. In case you have a family member that owns shares in a particular company and you are supposed to audit that company, you are supposed to disclose that information to the audit team before you start the work. Then another safeguard is that shares held should be sold before accepting the audit. Like in case you are willing to continue with the audit, you should first sell the shares before you continue with the work. Then another safeguard is removing a member holding shares from the audit team. You can decide to remove that member who has shares in that company from the audit team that is going to work on that particular company. So those are the 4 safeguards in case of financial interests. First is that you can decide not to audit a company where a spouse, a partner, or minor own shares, or you disclose like the financial interest before you start the work. Then you can sell the shares before accepting the audit, or you can remove that member that holds shares in a particular company. That is the first self-interest threat, which is financial interests. Then the second one is high percentage of fees from the client. Like if you get a client that is offering a huge amount of money, like that client might limit your judgment. You might you might end up like giving a wrong opinion, like oyinza obeera awo nga toyagala kumunyiiza. Let me say the client is giving you 50M for the work, yet other clients have been giving you maybe 2M, 3M. So you will depend on that client, you will over depend on that client, and you would not want to lose that client. So high percentage of fees from one client, it is a threat. The effect is financial dependence may lead to fear of losing that client. Yeah, you wouldn't love to lose that client because they're offering a huge amount of money. That is the effect. Yeah, so if you have fear of losing the client, you might end up doing the work just to please the client. Yeah, so the safeguards, how you can avoid such is reducing the dependency on the audit client. Like, do not over depend on one client. Then have an independent partner review the work. Like, get someone else. It can be someone from the same firm or someone from another firm to review the work that has been performed by the auditors. Then consult a third party like ICPAU on what you can do. Yeah, so those are some of the safeguards. Reduce dependency, have an independent partner review the work, then consult a third party. This point of an independent partner to review the work, it is almost everywhere. Yeah, in case you're lost, you can use it as a safeguard everywhere. Have an independent partner review the work. Yeah, it's almost everywhere. Then the next self-interest threat is overdue fees, especially before the issue of the audit report for the subsequent year. Like overdue fees when you are demanding the client, like in case you're the same audit firm that audited their financial statements the previous financial year and they did not pay you. Yeah, that is also a threat. The effect is fees are perceived as a loan and they increase the pressure to issue a favorable report. Like in case they haven't paid you, like you wouldn't love to piss them off because you might piss them off and they refuse to pay you even the previous money. So you'll be working like under pressure. Under pressure, you might end up giving just a favorable report so that they can be able to pay you your previous money. Yeah, and that can affect your judgment. So you might end up giving a wrong opinion just because you are demanding them. Yeah. So the safeguards, like how you can avoid such. First is the demand payment of fees before the second audit report is issued. Before you give them another audit report, like first request for payment of the previous period. Then threaten not to seek reappointment before payment is made. Like tell them that you will not work in the next financial year if they haven't paid you. Then audit review by an independent partner. You get someone else who was not on the team to review the work. Yeah, those are the 3 safeguards in case of overdue fees. Then another self-interest threat is contingent fees based on the entity. So contingent fees, it's when the company pays the auditor depending on the amount of profits that they make. Like if they make like a lot of money as profits, they give the auditor a lot of money. If they make less, they give the auditor less. That's what we call contingent fees. So contingent fees based on an entity's performance. So the effect that it has is that the auditor might overstate profits so that they can be able to earn a higher amount. Yeah, the auditor may overstate profits so that they can be able to earn a higher amount. That's the effect that it has. So they may give a wrong opinion on the financial statements. Then the safeguards is that an audit firm is not allowed to enter into any such contingent fees arrangements for assurance services. So sorry about that. In case you get a client that is paying you basing on the performance of the firm, you are not supposed to accept, because it's going to influence your judgment. Yeah, and you may end up giving a wrong opinion which might affect your firm. So an audit firm is not allowed to enter into any such contingent fees arrangements. Then another self-interest threat we have is loans and guarantees to or from a client. Like in case an audit firm gives a loan to the client, like an audit firm, let me use an example of KPMG. In case they give a loan to MTN, or in case MTN gives a loan to KPMG, something like that. So here, the effect that it has, that auditors may request for a waiver of loan repayment in return for a favorable opinion. Like in case in case MTN gives a loan to KPMG, so KPMG can be like, you forgive us that loan, and in return we shall give you a favorable opinion in the audit report. So they might end up giving the opinion that they were not supposed to give, just because they want to be forgiven or they want their loan to be reduced, something like that. So that's the effect that it has. Then the safeguards is that an audit firm should not give a loan to a client or guarantee a client is borrowing. Like an audit firm should not give a loan to a client. Like KPMG should not give any loan to MTN in case they are working together, because that will affect their opinion. Then even MTN is not allowed to give a loan to KPMG. Yeah. In simple understanding, it's like they should not borrow from each other, or they should not lend each other, because that will affect their opinion in the audit report. Then another self-interest threat is close business relationships with the audit client or its management. If you have a close relationship with a client, you've been friends for a long time, things like that, or you studied with some of the managers, so the audit team member with interest may not be objective, because you know someone. Yeah, like when we have a relationship with people, we tend to be subjective. We base our decisions on the love that we have for them, on the emotions. Okay, so the audit team member with interest or with a close relationship with a client may not be objective. So the safeguard is staff with business interests should be removed from the audit team or the relationship should be terminated. So you either remove that person that has a close relationship with a client, or you terminate like the relationship between those two. That is the safeguard, or how you can protect yourself from that threat. Then another one is a family and personal relationships with a director or employee that was involved in the preparation of the financial statements. Remember, as an auditor, you are supposed to examine the financial statements to see whether there were material misstatements due to error or fraud, or they were not there. So in case you have a personal or family relationship with the director of that company or the person that was involved in the preparation of the financial statements, like you may not report fraud or errors in case you find them, because you know the person, you do not want them to get into trouble. Yeah, so the effect is auditors may not report fraud or errors that are likely to lead to punitive actions against their colleagues because they know them. So in case they find an error, they can decide like to cover it up. Or in case there is fraud, they can decide to cover it up just to save the people that they know. So how can this be avoided? First is that the member of the audit team should be removed from the audit team. The person that has a close relationship with either the director or the employees should be removed from the audit team. Or where it is discovered that these rules have been violated, there should be an independent partner to review the work of the member of the audit team. So in case that person was on the team, you should get someone else who wasn't on the team or from another firm to come and review the work that was done by that person. Then another threat, self-interest threat, is gifts and then hospitality from clients. In case the client that you're auditing starts giving you gifts or acting nice to you. So gifts and hospitality appear as bribes to influence the auditor. If someone gives you maybe money, if they give you a gift maybe on your birthday, things like that, on your anniversary, you start having a soft spot for them. Yeah, you wouldn't want to hurt them or something. So you might end up giving a favorable opinion just for them to be happy. But when it is not what you were supposed to give. So gifts and hospitality appear as bribes, so they influence the auditor. So the safeguard is that gifts and services should not be accepted by a partner, the spouse or minor, or by the staff of the audit firm, except where the value is modest and are made in the normal course of business. So this question is common about gifts and hospitality, so you should be keen. So in case you get a gift from your client, you should not accept it unless if the value of that gift is modest, meaning that if it's not material. Yeah, if it's not material, and in case they give you like that gift while you're at work, like in the course of business, not them finding you in private and they give you the gift, things like that. So you should not accept it unless its value is modest and it is given in the normal course of business. Then another threat we have is custody of client assets. Like the example of the audit firm that we are using is KPMG. Like in case KPMG kept some of MTN's assets. So this threatens the objectivity of the auditor. So the safeguard is that auditors should not keep the client's money or any other assets unless they're permitted by the law to do so. And if they are permitted by the law, they should keep such assets separately and use such assets only for the intended purposes. So an auditor is not supposed to keep assets for the client. Like KPMG is not supposed to keep assets for MTN unless if it is permitted by law. And if it is permitted by law, those assets are supposed to be kept separately and only used for the intended purposes. Then lastly is compensation and evaluation policies. When an audit staff is evaluated and compensated on for selling services to the audit client. Like in case you sell other services to the audit client. So here the effect that it has is that the partner may hesitate to qualify an audit report for fear of jeopardizing his or her compensation on evaluation. So like if you are giving other services to the client except the assurance services, you may have the fear to give a qualified opinion or a negative opinion in the audit report because you do not want to terminate the other deal that you have. So the safeguard here is that an audit partner should not be evaluated or compensated based on the success in selling the non-assurance service to his or her audit client. Like the non-assurance services, for example, in case you're doing the filing of returns for the client, they should not be connected to the auditing services or assurance services that you're offering. They should be independent from each other. Then removing such members from the audit team, those that are offering the non-assurance services, or have an independent partner review the work of the member of the audit team. Yes, so those are the self-interest threats. I gave you the formula, it was PC Golf. Here you can go on the playlist of auditing and watch that video. I put the formula there to help you remember. Yeah, but they mainly bring these things in objectives. Yeah, we are still continuing with the threats. We are going to look at all of them in details. Thanks for watching. And if you are understanding, please comment down below so that you can give me energy to continue.